doing?
What up, Jimmy? How are you?
It's Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, and Josue Pavon. It's the kids' table at Thanksgiving, everybody. John Zannis
Something like
may or
that.
may not be joining us later. Sherrod's doing his thing. So we're going to hang out with the crew tonight. Celtics with a 111-99 win over the Detroit Pistons. Interesting game. No Jalen Brown. No Luke Cornett, which I know Bobby was hurt to hear that.
I was worried when I saw him bounce off the other night.
Yeah, what was
He's
probably more worried about, the Luke Cornett injury or no Jalen? Like most Celtics fans, or some Celtics fans, I should say.
We also had no Marcus Smart once again, and then Brogdon banged up in this one, came back, but needless to say, or there to save the day. We had Derek White do his thing, a big game for him stepping up, and Sam Hauser getting an NBA
spot start.
getting an NBA start and hitting his shots, which is literally all he needs to do, and he did his job tonight. And then a really slow start from Jason Tatum, who came alive there in the third quarter. So we'll get into it all. I know you guys both watched this game; you were glued to it. Bobby, what's your any takeaways from this one off the top?
Yeah, I'll start with Jason Tatum. Did his job in the second half. Played a near perfect second half. I didn't love his early game, 3 of 13. You saw him start to lean on those layup attempts as he's done in the past, where he's off balance at the rim and ends up missing them. So he racked up a lot of those early, though he did shoot 6 free throw attempts. Still a way he's kind of booing himself when the shot's off, and then unloads from 3 in that third quarter. A few good plays with Rob, and then fourth quarter they go on that drought. He comes out, finds Rob on an alley-oop. Rob gets a putback, and that was pretty much the game. So I can nitpick Tatum, and I did, but overall, this is exactly what you're looking for from him, to get you in and out of Detroit and back home on Wednesday for a big game. But the problem is it cost you another 39 minutes of Tatum. Keep talking about the minutes with him. They had to bring him back in the fourth.
Right.
And you end up continuing this average since the beginning of January, where he's pretty much playing 40 minutes every night. This is a game where you're missing Jalen Brown. You're missing Marcus Smart all the way down the line. So tonight specifically, you understand why the minutes go up a little bit, but it continues this trend of big minutes for him.
Yeah, Josue,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it is, and the way Sam Hauser started, the big night from Derek White, which in my opinion, I mean, it probably his best game of the season. Like, that's what makes things easier for this team, right? They can build that cushion. I mean, he got anything in the fourth quarter, but it's designed to help Tatum in that way, right? Because you're eliminating his minutes against a team like this, and you're obviously making it a bit easier for him. I mean, he went off in that third quarter. That was huge. It was certainly the difference. But when Derek White is performing like this, and of course, you can't expect this every single night, but when he's that consistent, I mean, Hauser made things easier for him when he opened up the floor and knocking down those 3-pointers to get going early. But, I mean, he was just attacking, and it felt like the Celtics it felt like Pistons they were just sleeping on him, and he just kept making them pay over and over again. And of course, he also filled up the stat line and doing other things and rebounding and dishing them out. So, yeah, I definitely think it's one of his better, if not his best performance of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that White stepped up, and I joked about it with you guys. I honestly sometimes forget Derek White is on the team. That doesn't mean that he hasn't had a good year for them and he hasn't really stepped up in huge situations. But I think there's been games where he kind of takes a bit of a back seat, especially when they have a full roster, and games where Brogdon sort of takes over. But now with Smart out, Brown out tonight, Brogdon in and out of the lineup, I think that he just really stepped up. So he's going to be huge for these guys. This is somebody that they got at the deadline last year. We know how he struggled offensively with them last season.
I loved his game tonight too.
Yeah, I did too, because he was aggressive tonight.
Right.
I mean, spin moves to the basket, just looking for his, looking for his shot, or just looking to make a move first. He wasn't really. I didn't feel like he was hesitant at all out there, and he's a big confidence guy. I think when he has a good start to the game, in-game momentum is huge for him. I think that if he misses a couple off the top, sometimes that can snowball, and certainly we've seen it happen from game to game. But love what he gave them. Hauser gets the spot start.
What an important night for him, huh?
Definitely.
Saved his rotation spot probably.
Yeah. maybe a couple teams, GMs are watching this game and they're looking
Yeah,
for
this is a
some.
showcase, fellas. That's what I was thinking. It might be a showcase. Might be a
Yeah, I
showcase.
don't know. I
A
think
little bit, a
they.
little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
They
it
need him.
certainly didn't hurt anybody's. Did my connection get screwed there?
No, still got you.
No, you're good.
Okay, let me know because I don't want to be lagging or something. You guys froze on me for a second. But yeah, they obviously need him. They need all hands on deck. I mean, it's clear right now that they've got some guys that are banged up. You talked about how they're overextending guys a little bit, Bobby. With the minutes being played, it was tough to have to see Tatum go in there and take those minutes back up. But I just think they've been able to, they need to be able to rely on some of these bench guys, the Whites, the Hausers, the Grants, who we've already had a few comments. One of them actually came early on. I think we should probably toss it up there. Grant Williams still struggling. Not really. Talk about guys who are being forgotten. I can't really remember the last game that we could say, wow, Grant really is earning that $20 million a year talk right now. Is that long term? Is that a long term concern right now, or is it just going through a little rut?
It might be. It might be. I mean, he's got to find other ways to score. I like one drive in particular where he really attacked the defense and got in there, went for two. I mean, it's got to be stuff that's outside of the perimeter, or inside the perimeter, rather.
Yeah, that's all he did tonight was that one closeout attack where he scored inside.
Right.
He's not finding many pockets to score, you're right. We've talked about the biggest issue with him being that he gets run out of that corner, and that is where he made his money last year, literally. I like a secondary assist he threw in the first half, and then second half he didn't do much of anything. A -11 in this one, a game where you win going away, not all that impressive. So the last game, as you mentioned, Jimmy, that 7-13 against Toronto on January 21st. Since then, 1-3, 3-6, 2-8, 3-6, 2-5, 0-2 in that Phoenix game, and 1-4 tonight. He's super limited offensively right now, and last year, such a huge outlet for Tatum, playing with him a lot. Defensively, I think he even was playing at another level last year. Ever since that hot start through, I'd say the beginning of December, going into tonight since December 10th, 41% from the field, 37% from three. Again, the low volume, 3 a game.
Right.
Just 8 points a game, 4 rebounds. It's not $20 million a year stuff as we kicked around.
No, I mean tonight 1 for 4, 20 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds. I mean -11, a -11 in a game that you won by 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you won by 12.
I mean, really, that's about as telling as it can get. And plus and minus is, it's big for bench guys. I know a lot of bench guys, they hang on that plus and minus because they want to come into the game and they want to have positive effects. You don't want to be coming into the game and when the starters come out, like a Tatum or whoever, and giving up leads or allowing the other team to go on these big runs.
Began in the fourth, the lead disappeared. Where did it get down to 11? Maybe even closer than that right after Tatum got back.
It was single digits.
They wanted, I saw Gary Washburn tweet, they wanted Tatum to not have to play in that fourth. The bench just couldn't hold on. It took like 2-3 minutes for Joe Mazzulla to call that timeout and put him back in. So it's not just Grant. I thought Brogdon was terrible in this game. I know you mentioned he left the game briefly there, Jimmy. So maybe he was dealing with something when he got back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Bobby, geez, cut us some slack. There are people
5 for 10.
concerned about him.
I mean, 5 for 10, 16 points, 4 assists. Yeah, not a game where you're saying, wow, great Brogdon game, but I mean, he was the only guy off the bench tonight to give you anything. And I know they are obviously depleted. You've got you've got obviously a couple of bench guys that are in the starting lineup tonight, but I mean, he's really the one guy who was able to do anything.
Just Pritchard, 11 minutes. Blake came in, didn't do much at all. And that's it.
Yeah, I was liking that second unit lineup with Blake and Brogdon, Hauser, Grant, and White. And then Rob came in for Blake, but I like that idea. You know how I feel about getting Blake in there when you can, and I thought this was a good opportunity for that. And I'm glad Mazzulla turned to Blake, and hopefully he does that more often. on a regular basis, but in particular matchups like this, even if there's no Horford or Robert playing, he should still get some minutes every so often.
I was surprised he didn't start, and the Hauser start worked, so credit to Joe there. But they really want to keep him with the second unit. This is probably why. If you didn't have him with the second unit today, you would have gotten 0 from that group, as you mentioned. So
that's exactly it. I mean, really, who are you going to off the bench in a situation like that? So Brogdon is kind of like that steady hand, and that isn't to say that he's not good enough to start. Obviously, he is, and and if I think it would have been between him or White, not because again, you want to have somebody that can come off the bench in a situation where Tatum's out or whoever, and right now, like, they just can't depend on a guy like Grant, and because they are as thin as they are, they have no choice. Now with the trade deadline coming up, I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, but this is Stevens' chance to do something, maybe bring in some depth, whether it's a big man. I know that's been rumored, whether it's Kevin Durant, for example, casual, float that name out there. Joking, obviously, but there is definitely some smoke coming out about KD rumors. So I think we're gonna get onto that a little bit later. I think Zannis might join us, or at least he's gonna try to, and I'm sure he'll want to talk about those rumors that are kind of popping up. We're gonna get into a lot of them this week. It's that time of year. This is the silly season, as they call it in the NBA. We had a huge trade. Our old friend Kyrie Irving is
already getting silly, Jimmy. Look at that.
Is in Dallas, and I know Bobby and John went on yesterday and talked about that for a bit, and you guys can find that all over on our YouTube page. I'm sure that was a good conversation, guys. Anything else from this game specifically that stood out before we sort of, because I don't think we can really harp on it for too long. I mean, no Jalen Brown tonight. Is there anything there, Bobby or Josue, that you guys are is there anything behind that in your eyes, or is that just Jalen getting a little time off here?
I think it's just a little time off, and a great opportunity again to get other guys minutes. Go a little deep into your bench, or give those guys opportunities so that you can create that sort of lead or that sort of advantage that would have given Tatum more of a break, more of a breather, I guess, in that second half. But I think that's what it's about. I mean, you got to monitor those guys' minutes, especially around the All-Star break and trade deadline. We joke around about it, but of course it wouldn't help to get Hauser out there or other guys involved. Give them more minutes. So I think it was more about that than what people are thinking, or if it was something personal or if anything surrounding the rumors. I don't think it's anything like that. I don't think that's the reason why Jalen all of a sudden wanted to take the night off.
We'll get to that, but I know we talk.
So, maybe a little. No,
I know we talked about it on our special. John's excited to talk about the possibility because he's done the 180 on it, but Durant for Jalen's not happening, especially not this week. That's not why he was out tonight. Jalen signed for 1 year, so it doesn't even make sense for the Nets to trade for him at this point. That had nothing to do with it, and I don't even think Durant's getting traded this week, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, last thing I had on the game, Rob, awesome. What another great active Rob game. 15 points, 15 rebounds, gets a block. I know him and Jalen Duren were going back and forth, not boxing each other out, but Rob got the last laugh on that final putback. Stumbled out of bounds late. I thought that was weird. He didn't come back in. He was out of the frame for like 10 seconds. Then he came walking back in. I think someone tweeted that they thought he got hurt on that play. He did come out right after. So we'll see if anything comes out post-game about that. He did sprain his ankle and missed that Lakers game. But 7-9, 30 minutes, a couple assists, plus 14. Loved this game. Only 2 fouls.
What was that? Too. Who did that? That's true. That's a good point. No. We just got a Nerlens Noel sighting out of nowhere. That was funny, but no, it was. Did you both miss that?
No, I missed it. Yeah.
It's like the ghost of Nerlens popped up real quick.
Got a Rob graphic here somewhere. There we go.
But yeah,
think of Rob's game, Josue.
What's that?
What do you think of Rob's game?
Good. Another solid performance. I mean, it's
he's stacking these up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was just gonna say it's more of what we've been seeing lately, and we want to see more of it, obviously, on a consistent level. But yeah, this is This is what you want, especially right now in this point of the season, especially when Jalen's got the night off.
Yeah, we were going to talk about Nerlens Noel at some point. I thought that was a weird report today.
Yeah,
Jimmy, you all right over there?
No, I had something weird going on in my place. Sorry.
I
had to mute my mic, dude. I had to mute my mic for a second.
I could tell you were here, but you weren't here, actually.
I mean, he is a local guy. Maybe he's a fan of the show. I don't know what that was.
Nerlens Noel, I mean, that's an interesting name. I mean, first of all, I didn't put him up on the screen, but...
It's an interesting name. He's not an interesting player anymore.
That's the thing. I mean, what's he got for numbers over the last couple of years? I think probably like nothing, basically.
38 games combined played last 2 years.
Right, and he's making, what, $9 million, you said?
Yeah.
It's just a weird... It's kind of a weird...
He gets bought out, I guess you'd think about it, but he's defense only at this point. He's giving you nothing on offense.
Right.
Yeah, that's what this would be about, for sure.
Which I guess you could use some... See, I really like Jared Vanderbilt. That's still a guy I'm looking at, and you hear it's second-round picks to get him.
Dude.
Yeah, and a bunch of teams are looking at him. The Jazz might be able to steal a first-round pick out of him with the interest, it seems like, circling around him. But you can get him for the TPE, which is great. You don't have to give up anybody to absorb his salary, and you have an open roster spot. So that's a guy I'm interested in. Noel, I don't like. It's just more of a name at this point to me than anything substantive. Especially he's signed for a $10 million team option next year, so you'll have to dump that.
Yeah,
and then figure out a way to get him back, I guess, if you really want to. But you can't just trade Gallinari for Noel. You'd have to trade Gallinari and Cornette, Gallinari and Pritchard.
Well, that's off the table.
Gallinari and Jackson.
Well, that's not happening right off the bat. Don't even start.
Yeah, no.
You hang up the phone immediately.
And this is, like, again, everyone's going to be in the chat like, oh, Noel is better than Cornette. Cornette's better than Nerlens Noel. No, Cornette's better than a lot of the guys you're going to kick around. So it's just about, like, having a different guy to play if you need to play in a different scheme than what Cornette's capable of. Because when Cornette's out there, he can only drop and do the Cornette contest. He can't go out and guard on the perimeter. So I think that's why the Celtics are interested in another big guy. But Noel's not the guy who's going to help you in that sense. I'm surprised they even called about him. But I guess that's the Pistons saying, hey, look, teams are calling about Noel. Look at, come get him.
Exactly.
That's more about that, right?
Yeah, they just called in general, and Pistons said, oh, Noel's available. And then it got twisted into, oh, the Celtics called about Noel.
Yeah. This is what we were joking the other day. I was like, this time when the Nets call about Jalen, Brad just has to like double tap the ignore button, so they can't even say it's too late. Actually, you already got a guy on TV saying they're calling about about Brown and talking Brown for Durant. I don't know where that came from, but I can't imagine that they're actually considering it. You're not getting any other reports about it, so we'll wait to see if anyone actually reports that.
That's a buyout. That's a buyout.
Yeah, that's a buyout option, which is something.
This is a buyout guy. Yeah,
something they really explore if they don't do it through a trade. You know.
Right. They probably called Detroit to see if they were gonna buy him out. They probably weren't trying to actually trade for him.
You're not really gonna trade this guy. Just buy him out.
Yeah. Right. Just kicking the tires on some buyout candidates. But these are the types of names that are getting flown out there. I mean. Bobby is such a Cornette stan. I love it. LMAO. Yeah, that is true. I mean,
you gonna let Mitch talk to you like that, Bobby?
I think it's facts.
It's facts.
Absolutely.
Facts, dog.
Here's one. Here's somebody who's available.
Stands a bit strong.
Little Sully. Maybe get Jared Sullinger Sr. on the show. He was a big Celtics media guy back in the day when
I heard him in a commercial or something. It might have been a radio commercial recently.
Uh-oh.
Are we in the Jared Sullinger commercial portion of the show already? It's 19.
Oh my god.
Right on time.
We're on the John Zannis jumps in late segment of the show. Welcome.
How in the world?
That was just a random comment that popped up.
I've been listening for 5 minutes.
We're interacting with the chat.
Nerlens Noel, Jared Sullinger portion of the show.
They always get mad
Did you
we
see
don't
that ghost?
interact.
See the ghost?
I don't know how Noel Noel became the topic as quickly as it did, but you know what it was, John? Like we could
Did
only
Bobby
do
put any charts up? That's what I want to know. Did
We
he
could
put
al-
any chart like rebounding
yet.
Shot
charts up?
charts.
Not
Let's take
yet.
a look at Tatum's shot chart tonight.
Who does that?
We did 15 minutes on this game, John. It's really all it deserved. I mean, you don't have Brown, you don't have Smart. You had a bad Tatum first half, but you had a couple guys like White, Hauser step up. I mean, that's the bright spot in this is that you did have a couple of reserve guys step up tonight. But you know, what else are you going to take out of this game? I think the bench, you know, the Celtics are down 3 guys or whatever it is. Obviously, the bench is going to be a little depleted. They had help. They did not have much help from the bench. You had 16 points from Brogdon, and that was pretty much it. No show from Sellinger. You know, nothing from Pritchard.
Sellinger was a no-show. He wasn't there.
No show from Grant, who is like the new Sellinger apparently.
Oh my goodness.
But
Did we talk about how Jalen Brown definitely is getting traded because he was
I
out?
insinuated. I asked John. I threw it out there.
I hinted at it, John. I don't know.
I threw it out there. I said, is there anything else behind Jalen Brown not playing tonight? But they didn't take the bait. They did not take.
Is
the
there
bait.
anything that's harder to track down in medically speaking than non-COVID illness? There's no paper trail of that. There's no proof. Okay, it's not an injury
There's
that
nothing.
lingers. It's just I'm not feeling well. You know.
You don't even need a doctor's note. Every time
You just need the
Zannis
knife, that's all it was.
mentions trade JB for KD. Wow, Dirk coming in hot
Dirk,
against
this is
Zannis.
violent.
Yeah,
Violence.
Dirk, do you want
Hey,
to
it's a lot
get
at
your
$11,
comments back
huh?
up here or what?
What did I do to deserve this?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Sounds like we can make some money though. If we,
It's preemptive. They know where this is going.
Well,
They know where this is
I
going.
mean,
I actually,
We
I don't
could
think
stick
anyone's.
with
I don't
Sellinger, or
think
we could
anyone's-
talk about this.
I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's watching the show tonight to talk any more about this game than we already have. I mean, it
well,
was.
I want to. Am I crazy for not loving this Tatum game as much as everyone else?
Who said they loved it? I mean, I think we said he had one good quarter.
Yeah, one good quarter. A bunch of shots fell in that quarter, but he finishes 3-9 from 3. A lot. I'm looking at the shot chart. I can put it up if I really wanted to, but you can just imagine
I
a lot
kinda
of
want
shots.
you
If
to.
you can
I-
put it
I-
up
I-
without blowing up the stream, go for it.
I want to. Yeah, do you dare?
Let's
key.
see how.
Right.
Let's see how smoothly
You know,
I
do
can
the old.
this.
If you could do the old trick, like toss the phone up to the screen.
Jimmy's got it.
Yeah, I mean this.
Here we go.
We got it. There we go. Look at that.
Yes. That's
There's
good shit
Tatum's
right
shot
there.
chart. A lot of shots like just outside of that restricted area. He had to lean into them a lot. A lot of them were kind of off to the left and right side. It almost reminded me, John, of like those 2019, 2020 Tatum layups where a lot of it was leaning away from the basket, being forced away from the rim. And he hit a ton. Credit to him. Drew a bunch of free throws. But I still feel like there was kind of this looseness to his game, a lot of attacking one-on-one. And then he got hot in the third, but I'm still super intrigued to see how he's going to play this great Philly defense on Wednesday. That's going to force him to make much more difficult shots.
I think if you're just looking at the shot chart, it's not a bad.
It's not a
shot
bad
chart,
game.
obviously. No, it's just like, but if you watched it, it just didn't look like the shots qualities were great, but like the locations of it, yeah, he's a couple of deep threes that he bricked. But everything else is right in there, right around that cylinder, where you want guys to take those higher percentage shots. So I don't really have a problem with the shot chart other than the fact, 3 for 9, is obviously a little bit lower than you want it to be, but it's not that crazy. But he just couldn't get into, he struggled for the first half. I mean, even
I can't believe how long this has been up.
the broadcast, the broadcast hinted at it as well.
No, but talk about the broadcast.
This is what people came to see, right?
Talk about the broadcast, though, Jimmy. They were doing.
Can we do it
backflips
without
over
the
this
shot chart? Can we do it
performance.
with just us? There
No,
we
There
go.
people
you
are
go.
loving it. Some people are loving it. You know it.
No other show does this.
For a reason.
This is stuff you can only get here.
Oh crap!
But
So come
yeah,
on, talk to me.
I'm nitpicking, but again, I hold this team to a high. I'm not going to do backflips over a 30-point game against Detroit. I'm just not.
Bobby, I applaud this. Look, he had an ass start to the game and then got really
3
hot in
at
the third.
13.
But here's the third. The third is where they kind of took control of the game. So I
Right.
mean, you have to
You have to
factor that in.
compartmentalize a little bit. He was a huge part of that run. What is it, 11-0 run to start the third quarter? And he
So
had
that was lights out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had a bad start, but you know what? I think if he just had a horrible game, we would have led the show criticizing, how bad.
These
of
are
a
the
game
good
he had,
bad
but he
games. Turn
came
it on
back
when you
and-
need to, right?
Yeah.
The
guy had 34 points. I mean, he shot practically 50% from the field by the end of it. This isn't going to go
my
down
Lord.
as a bad game.
Sorry.
What happened,
Okay.
Bobby? What'd you say?
I'm
Typical,
seeing Cam
response.
Thomas's what is it,
losing
47
his
points now?
damn mind right now is what he's doing.
Talk about, sorry. That's just, it relates to Kyrie, of course, but man, he was so mad sitting on the bench all year, and he comes up with back-to-back 40s.
He's losing his freaking mind right now is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh, shoot. I didn't want that.
We're looking at 15 of 26, 7 of 10 from 3, 47 points, 36 minutes.
Wow.
Unreal.
John, you want to go back to your home and where I'm at right now since you're here?
I didn't
Take
want
the
to. I
take
didn't want
the
to
chair,
impose.
John.
I'm late to the party.
You're not
I'm late to the
imposing,
party.
man. I mean, we're you know what it is? I think we're about to kind of start the second half of the show here.
Okay.
We talked about the game. You
Has
didn't.
Bobby told anybody about any sponsors yet?
No, I was kind of running the point, so that was probably
Jimmy's the host.
my job.
Jimmy's
to do,
the
but-
host. Why don't we do this one, Jimmy?
Yeah, go for
Do
it.
you have it?
Well, you can do it now since you're the host.
You don't have
Took over.
copy?
Not in front of
got
me,
copy.
dude.
I can do it. I got copy.
HelloFresh.com/Garden65. Use code Garden65 for 65% off plus free shipping.
Yeah,
We
that's
love
all you have to
HelloFresh.
say, and they
yeah,
love
but we
that.
love HelloFresh. I mean, delivered right to your door. It comes in a refrigerated or ice packed type box that
Yeah.
keeps everything cool. I'll be honest, guys. I think I let mine sit for like a day, and I opened it up, and it was still like as cold as it.
So they
you'd
pack it in
imagine
basically like a Yeti. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
But again, you're
everything
talking
you
about
need.
different things. New Year's goals, you want to stick to them. And again, HelloFresh allows you to do that. That's kind of one of the best things about it. It's so freaking hard if you're busy to like figure out how you're going to eat like the right stuff every day, especially if you're on the go or you're working or you got kids or whatever, and you end up eating whatever junk they're eating. It's so much easier if you just let HelloFresh like plan the meals for you. And that's what they do. You customize, select meals. You can swap anything you want. Like, they come up with their own menu items, but you can mess around. You can say like, no, I want that protein with that vegetable and that side and this and that. And you can do whatever you want. We've all had really good experiences with it. Bobby gets only fish. He gets like a fish main and a fish side. Jimmy and I
fish
went
guy.
healthy. We got some cauliflower. We got some chickpeas. Sherrod Blakely literally subsists only on meatloaf. He gets the meatloaf box. Only meatloaf. But I mean, doesn't matter. You can get steak, potatoes with béarnaise sauce, Southwest pork burritos, really good stuff. So again, go to HelloFresh.com/Garden65. That's the important part because that's how they know we sent you. Okay. So then they're happy with us, the Garden Report. So you support our sponsor. It helps us out tremendously, allows us to keep bringing you all of this content. HelloFresh.com/Garden65. Use that code Garden65. It's a pretty phenomenal deal. 65% off plus
Phenomenal.
free shipping. Phenomenal deal and a phenomenal t-shirt. That's what you get. Go get yourself some HelloFresh. We're happy to have them on board as a sponsor. And that's the good stuff there. So, Jimmy, you can take back the reins, buddy. Which way do you want to go with things?
Yeah, where we going, Jimmy?
I want to talk about some of the rumors that are. I want to talk about the Kyrie trade a little bit. So I know you guys talked about it on your show, and I did plug it. And everyone wants the initial John Zannis and Bobby Manning reaction to the Kyrie Irving.
We did it twice when he demanded it, Andy, when he was traded. So Bobby and I are tapped out. I want what's your take?
Well, I mean, I can go a number of ways with it. I don't. I'm struggling to see if there's a winner out of this trade yet. I understand how talented Kyrie Irving is as a player. I just think that it's been, for whatever reason, difficult for him to focus on basketball. I wonder if, we're at a point where it's, for me, if I'm the GM of a team, I don't think I'd take on the risk of bringing him on. I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable giving him a big money deal. Again, I know the talent's there, but we're kind of talking. It's been years now where this guy's been able to just play basketball, and even in Cleveland, it obviously got to the point where he wanted out, right? So everywhere he's gone has ended poorly. So at what point do you just say, this guy's kind of bad juju, and it might not be worth the squeeze to take on the talent that he might give you on a non-consistent basis. Now, I'm interested to see how he plays with Luka. We all know Luka's been, dying to have another star in that team. I just don't know if he's the guy that's gonna just play basketball and focus on winning. So Mark Cuban's taking a risk. Obviously, anyone familiar with Mark Cuban knows that he's taken many risks over his career, and a lot of them have paid off, and that's why he's in the position that he's in. So maybe I'm certainly not going to question his smarts. I just personally, I have hesitation when it comes to Kyrie Irving. I think the Nets had to trade Kyrie. I think they're at a point where they've got nothing but distractions on this team since they tried to put all this together, whether it's Harden, Kyrie, Simmons, Durant. I mean, literally every trade they've made, every major trade they've made has backfired on them. And I think it's only a matter of time before Durant is gone too. I know.
How soon?
So we don't have
that's
that
the $1 million
yet.
question.
That's
What?
so.
Yeah.
Did you guys expect by now we would have heard something
okay,
about
So
Durant?
Was he at the
I
game?
wouldn't not necessarily. They're still kind of seeing what's out
I
there.
honestly
but-
don't know. I mean, and I said this to you guys in a text. I imagine that the Nets are probably aware of his feelings about the organization and where it's going and where he wants to be. Maybe he is giving them, maybe it's a respect thing and he doesn't want to come out and, be public about it. Maybe he thinks that it's in his best interest as well to whether wait it out to the end of this season or now I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And I'm hearing echoing. What happened? What
What
happened?
is the
here,
echo
Jimmy?
thing? That wasn't me. Okay, it's gone now.
Okay, we're back.
I don't know the answer. I mean, I don't know the answer
Let me
either
ask you this
way, John.
question.
But I still think that he's going to want out, whether it's by Thursday or whether it's at the end of this season.
But you
You guys
can't
really think he's going to
wait
blow
till
up and down?
Thursday. Like, is his mind going to change between now and then? Only one of two things has happened. He has decided to stick it out and see whether this team actually improves with Kyrie, and he's deciding to say nothing. Or he's quietly said, work on that deal, but don't go public with this shit. I'm not going to have my agent leaking. Don't leak it either. We don't need further dysfunction. I prefer to go. So make every effort to make it happen.
We talked about the package.
Because it helps no one to put it out there that he demanded a trade because
Right.
it makes it less likely that it'll happen with this little time to make it happen.
Right, especially because this is Durant we're talking about. And I feel like he's always been the guy he makes that kind of decision during the offseason. And it's really hard to integrate into a new system. And there's a lot on the line. He's been through it. He's hurt. I can't see him saying, okay, yeah, let's do that, Brooklyn. I think he's more like, I think there's a good chance that he's sitting back and saying, Brooklyn, show me what you got. Show me what kind of roster we can put together to finish the season. And then we'll talk during the summer.
This season's done. The season's done for Brooklyn.
I'm not ruling them out.
Why, Bobby? What is
I
it
love
that
their
left?
roster.
Because Bobby knows ball and he likes their new players.
I like a lot of players up and down
They're
this roster.
fine.
I like Durant.
He knows
Durant-
ball, Jimmy.
I know he knows
Durant
ball.
had
That's
this
why
team.
I respect his opinion. But
So,
I just
guys,
they're
no,
not
I'm
gonna
just
all of a
saying-
sudden-
Oh, you guys
saying
hold
that-
up, though.
I'm
Let's
saying
talk
the
about
Nets are
Dallas.
still good as a nose ball trade because it's like actually Dorian Finney-Smith is a great 3-and-D guy and the best perimeter defender.
Well, it
Like-
goes back to how much was Kyrie really giving them? I mean, look at Cam Thomas. He's giving them the 40
You may not be
points
wrong.
out the
You may not
guard
be
spot.
wrong, Bobby. You may not be.
And then
wrong.
he'll be playing next to Durant eventually.
Kyrie playing good basketball with Durant, that's a better team. Now, and that's why I was surprised. We can roll back the tapes to last week, guys. We talked about Kyrie Irving. John, don't make me pull up the highlights of John saying that everything's fine and dandy with Kyrie. And the Nets are
I
gonna-
took that L instantly. First thing I
Yeah,
said in the show.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
Right
was the
away,
one.
I was like, I was like, boy, did I get that wrong.
Yeah, because I said, well, wait, hold on. Who's to say that?
Bobby
it's
threw
just
an
gonna...
apology cam over me. It was, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Damn, I missed that. Because I remember going on there and
I ate that one.
Sherrod was kind of guilty of it as well. I was like, hold on, guys. Why are we so confident this is all going to work out? So
because it didn't make sense.
Right, but nothing makes sense.
Meaning it didn't make sense in the context of, like, it hurts.
That's for sure.
It hurts him. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess, again, it only takes one. Wasn't it surprising?
I saw you got a $2 million trade kicker.
But was it surprising how many teams lined up for this friggin' idiot?
I mean, I don't know. When you consider the teams that were lined up, the Lakers, I mean, they're not exactly a franchise that's made some
Clippers,
good,
Lakers, Phoenix,
good
Dallas.
recently.
A lot of, I mean, that's 4 teams in the West who were like, gimme, gimme, gimme.
Yeah. And we got some reporting on the trade offers.
But John, look at the
Russell
Lakers.
There.
I mean, they can anything the Lakers do might help
Lakers
them.
were desperate, but everyone thought that they were the only ones desperate enough to do it. They were desperate, but that wasn't the case. Other teams wanted him. They were ready
I'm
to go.
surprised Dallas did it. Josue and I talked about before that Suns game.
Why are you so surprised? I mean, this is what we were talking about, Bobby.
You brought up Dallas, and I said,
caliber.
No way.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. Yeah, all-star caliber player in the Western Conference, where we're not quite sure who could come out of the West. It's open, right? I mean, it's close.
Yeah, I didn't see it, and they got super aggressive. If they did like Hardaway and Bertans, I would have been like, okay. But you give away your second best player, and really your third best player in Dinwiddie. So you're giving up much of your core. The roster behind them isn't that great. So you're gonna ride 3 players in Wood, Kyrie, and Luka, who all aren't plus defenders. I don't see plus defenders anywhere else on the roster. They're still a long shot to me to win the West. I think something would have to happen to Denver. I think something would have to happen to Memphis. And then you even throw the Clippers in there. If the Clippers are right, that's a tough team to beat. They've lost twice to them now in the playoffs early in Luka's career. So it's just an all-in move for 1 year. You're not even certain you're going to keep Kyrie beyond this year. Then you're questioning Luka's future if you lose Kyrie in this
whether they're right
close
or
up.
not, though, Bobby, that's the thing.
Bobby.
Whether it makes them better or not, it's evident that teams value stars above all else, and the opportunity to get a star is rare, and that's why teams jump at it. It doesn't always work, and I don't know if it's going to work here, but star talent is incredibly...
But let's not act like the Mavs are the Thunder. They're a big market franchise.
They're not. I'm
They
saying
have
it's
ownership
incredibly
that
hard
wants
to get
win.
somebody of Kyrie's caliber in any at all. So teams can convince
Kyrie's
themselves
caliber
of
when he
100 different things.
wants to play it.
I know. I'm
caliber.
saying it's enticing.
That's why he's available.
It's enticing.
Sure, but there are risks involved. Just ask any single team that's ever had Kyrie Irving on.
You
his
literally
team.
don't have to ask anybody. I think it's obvious.
But
there's
here's the
risks
thing,
involved.
John.
But I'm saying they're willing to eat those, Jimmy. That's all.
Did you have to give up everything you did here? Couldn't you have waited and been like, all right, go get something else better than what we're
can't
giving?
wait if you want it more than if you want to make sure you're the one. You got to make sure that your offer is the one that they can't shop. So if Dallas wanted it, they were like, this is it. And they put it forward. I mean, the longer you wait, the more teams start to add, the more it gets whatever. And so that's it.
Here were the reported offers. The Clippers reportedly offered Kennard, Mann, a first, and 2 swaps. The Lakers, of course, did the Russ.
Two firsts and 2 swaps?
No, 1 first and 2 swaps.
Okay.
And then the
That was the Clippers?
This actually surprised me. I don't think we actually brought
the Suns. You're gonna talk about the Suns.
Offered Chris Paul. So I'm surprised.
Paul and Crowder.
I'm surprised this offer.
The Lakers offered again. And if you're looking to rebuild, the Lakers offered 2 post-LeBron firsts, which literally could be like the first and second pick in the draft.
Right. So
enormously valuable assets if you wanted to look ahead.
I'm stunned they didn't.
It was obvious Josue didn't want to give Kyrie the satisfaction. That was reported that he didn't want to send him to LA. And it's obvious that they don't want to clearly rebuild because that would mean Durant's going to go. So if they take we're giving up on all of it deal, Durant is gone. They did not want Durant to go. It makes sense not taking the Lakers, even if it's the more prudent basketball move to kind of say, screw it, let's just punt and we'll see in a couple of years.
So you kind of hit what I was going to say. So it almost feels like, and again, this was a decision. It was almost like they took like the middle road deal. Because, like you said, John, if they wanted to focus on a deal that was more about the future, you got to go with the Lakers. Who cares if you trade Kyrie Irving to the Lakers? If you're the GM of the Nets, you have to make the decision for the best interest of the team, not something personal that you have against the player and you don't want to give him what he wants. If you get the best package in return, who cares? Let him go around in LA for a few months and torpedo that franchise. I'm surprised if what's been reported is true. I'm with Bobby. If you got a deal with Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, that's a roster that Kevin Durant can be okay with. Chris Paul and Kevin Durant would have been a really fun combination and players, and we would have been talking about a team that may have just improved going into the second half of the year in a way. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't take that deal, which again tells me that maybe they aren't completely sold that Durant wants to stick around because again they don't want to be maybe they don't want to be stuck with that roster minus Durant if he ends up demanding a trade. So I don't know if they know what direction they want to go in.
Yeah, I'm surprised they get caught in the middle between those two. So the argument would
Right in
be
the middle.
Paul's old, Crowder hasn't played since the spring, so you're buying in on something there that's a complete unknown. I don't know. It's unknown how many picks Phoenix offered in that deal. It might have just been one this year, which is useless. So it's tough because I like Dinwiddie. Finney Smith's really good. And then you get a 2029 Dallas for first, which who knows what that could be in the future. It's like a lottery ticket.
That's
there.
crazy, yeah.
So it's a toss up between those two. I would have been tempted to take Paul. And I don't know what Phoenix is thinking offering Paul for Kyrie. That's the other side of that. But right now, I think the Nets are in a good spot. They did try to expand this trade today. I guess send Dinwiddie and whatever else. They have 3 future firsts they can offer teams to Toronto to get.
They're trying to get a third team, right?
Yeah, a Trent or a Van Fleet or maybe even an OG if you get extra aggressive there. But it didn't come together. So I think that speaks a lot to what they can offer to teams right now and how much other teams value that, because that fell apart and that's not going to happen now. So this is their team.
I'm surprised by that they would
that they couldn't get it done.
No, that they would try to flip him like that.
I was surprised. I thought they liked Dinwiddie. So that makes the trade more confusing, that they wanted to flip these other parts. And this is where I get worried about Durant. I think he's going to look at this roster and be like, really? This is all we got? When I actually
That's
think
the whole
he can
point.
do something with this group.
It's not impressive on paper. Kevin Durant is not a GM. Kevin Durant is a guy who likes going to the All-Star game and hanging out with his buddies and knowing that these guys have special access cards to VIP. He wants those guys around him. That's what these superstars want. It's not a bunch of ham and eggers, when he has a bad shooting night and he's like, who here's taking the pressure off of me? He wants to know there's another star riding shotgun.
That's why going to Toronto makes no sense.
That's why
those guys can take the pressure off of him.
That's why I thought this deal was bad for Brooklyn, is because I don't know that Durant's going to look at that roster and be like, yeah, I'm cool.
Right.
I don't
think he is.
Yeah.
And listen, Dinwiddie's been solid, especially against the Celtics. But if you're talking about, star players, John, he ain't it. Sorry. Just not going to be the guy that's going to, take you to that next level. So I thought, and again, I know Chris Paul is up there in age, and a lot of people are saying he's washed up, and I get it. But if you have a short window with Durant, then you might as well get a guy like Paul who's trying to win that, title and still has something left to give. Doesn't need to be your best player. He just needs to be a facilitator and a playmaker. So I just think that was an interesting trade, reported trade offer for Phoenix. But they went with Dallas.
I was stunned when I saw that. What is Phoenix thinking? They want to flip Chris Paul for Kyrie today? Maybe teams don't love Kyrie as much or Chris Paul as much as we would think they would, but that was super surprising to me. I guess it's just the part where you don't get much future assets from them, and you get Jay Crowder, who's a complete mystery right now. I think Jay Crowder's going to get bought out. I don't think anyone wants him except the Bucks, who don't have anything to offer.
I don't think Crowder has much of a market. But can we get to it? I know you guys alluded
Let's
to
get
it.
to it.
No Jalen. No Jalen trade.
Yeah, let's get to it. Because it's my mic
First of
still
all,
effed.
this is the dumbest tweet I've ever seen.
It was on First Take. It wasn't a tweet.
I know. This is the dumbest, like,
Wording.
how many qualifiers can you put in one thing? I'm hearing he's on the verge of potentially being moved. Oh my God. Like, how many different ways can you
Boston's
say, like,
making
I
some-
don't have any idea if this is true or not?
Boston's-
I'm hearing he's on the
Boston's making some
verge
calls.
of potentially Boston's making some calls. To who, man? Okay,
Jalen Brown. He
this-
just that's all he just said. Jalen Brown.
This report is garbage. And that doesn't mean that. What I find interesting about the whole debate is not will they, won't they. It's the level of certainty people who don't want Jalen Brown to go will say the things that they will say. That the idea of trading for Durant is stupid. It's not. The idea that Jalen Brown might leave, it's impossible. It isn't. Like, the Brad would never do that. You don't know. So, like, it is the very essence of a debatable topic. There is a million reasons to do it and not to do it. And I think both sides have excellent arguments. It's just amazing how triggered people get if you mention Jalen Brown in this thing, which is amazing because we are talking about Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and we
It's a
had this conversation
remarkable
over the
thing that
summer,
this
too.
conversation
Well, it's
can't
because
be had.
it's like it's the recycle of it too.
Oh,
right?
it can be had and it will be had.
It's
I
the
just think-
timing of it too.
It's to your
Yeah.
point about the Stephen A. Smith tweet, or the comments.
I love this. It's
It
called
is
being
funny.
a fan because what fans like more than anything are whatever players you currently have more than wins, right? That's the most important part of being a fan. Fans like wins. And so anybody in favor of the Durant trade wants wins because they think it will get them more wins. And anybody not in favor may just really love the player, and that's it. But that's not being a fan. It's not being a fan. It's a
Right.
it's
John, this would change if they lost in the playoffs this year. And that's where we're at. Is he going to go now or is he going to go next summer? Because you can wait, assess, and then visit it again in the offseason. And I think that's where a lot of fans get stuck. They think this team's such a slam dunk to win the title this year. I think they're so far from that. I remember during their hot streak, I was like, all right, let's see what happens when the threes stop falling. And now they're much closer to the pack since that point. And the biggest issue, you see it again tonight, 3 minutes to start the fourth. The offense just shuts off. And you have Tatum attacking one-on-one throughout points in this game. Ball movement sways up and down through certain
That's not
close
their
of these games.
That's not their team, Bobby. You know that more than anybody. I mean,
I know. But I'm just saying that happens to this group sometimes.
Sure.
And the biggest appeal of Durant is that you can just throw him the ball and he's going to score. No matter where he is, no matter who's on him.
Yeah, but you
he's
know
just gonna
what?
Pull up and score.
He wouldn't have pulled up and scored tonight because he's hurt too. So there's pros and cons to it. I see where some fans are coming from. If they have logical
They have
explanation.
every point. It's a totally valid point. It's just so weird that the other
Right.
points are completely discounted. That's all.
Well, right. I mean, John, that's unfortunately the state of the country
But
today, right?
You know how I know
in
this,
any
Jimmy?
topic, it doesn't really
You know how I
matter
know
what
this,
it is.
Jimmy? Rewind to the beginning of the season when I made all of those points myself. I just
Right.
changed my mind, but I made
Right.
every single point that everyone's making. Too old, stay with the young core. What if Durant comes down? Injury concern, yada, yada, yada. After the benefit of watching this season, even with Brown having career year, I think you can draw some conclusions. The lineup really, really, really suffers when Jason Tatum is out and it's Brown and everybody else. It's very, very difficult for them, and I don't think that problem would happen with Durant. And if this team's going to have a fatal flaw, it's going to be their offense. I'm sorry. It just is. That's what you're looking at here. It's the offense that's the question mark above all else. And it's the offense that tanked their chances of winning the finals last year. And so that's if it happens again, that's why it happens. And you're talking about trading for one of the 5 best scorers in the history of basketball who's playing at an MVP level. Like, it's insane
Right.
that this is like, I wasn't ready to go there before, but you're getting closer to Jalen's walk year. It gets scarier.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josue?
Hey,
No, I was going to say
you sound
the
like me.
success of the season is the biggest reason. People want to see this thing through. They want to see Tatum and Brown finish this thing, and
Yes.
they're both having career years.
You want homegrown stuff, right?
I get your concern, John, but I also understand
Homegrown
that
Simpsons stuff.
Celtics fans don't want
I
to
like the
fix it,
homegrown.
don't want to rock the boat if it's working already. Even though we've seen signs of concern, certain signs that they're still been on top of the Eastern Conference. But I see what you're saying, John. I just don't think people. I mean, if this was a few years ago, maybe we get some more buyers. But with Kevin Durant and the way things played out in Brooklyn, people want to see the story how it ends between Tatum and Brown. They'd rather see that one.
You know, I think Bobby kind of hinted at it. Actually, I'm not really sure what Bobby's take is because he's kind of gone a bunch of different ways with it. But
No, here's my take.
Well,
It's
hold
not
on,
the
real
right.
quick.
It's not the right
Well, hold
time.
on, John, Jimmy, we jumped him a couple times. Yeah, go ahead, finish it.
well, no, I'm Bobby. I'm not going to say what your take is, but it sounds like you.
I love
It
Durant.
sounds like you want to see. Yeah, no, but it sounds like, and I'm kind of there. It's much easier to make the trade either before this season started, for me it was, or after this season is finished.
That's where I'm at.
Depending on how it goes. And I think if they win, obviously you don't make the trade. If they lose, technically you didn't really improve. You either were eliminated in the NBA Finals, which is where you were the year before, or even worse, you were knocked out before that. And then I think it's easier for fans to maybe come to terms with the fact that, okay, maybe we do need to do something. Whereas this year, there's still that. I mean, listen, whether or not you think that they can, whether or not you think they're going to win a title or not, they are still considered by many to be the favorites. And we've seen how they can play when they play the right way. Now, they aren't going to do that. They aren't going to play that way for 82 games. And we've seen some real stinkers where they just get lazy on the offensive end and on the defensive end and just shot chuck. And you're not going to win that way either. But right now, they're going through a part in the season where it's inconsistent, but they're also they're not healthy. I think they're all getting to the point where they're pretty tired and they need this All-Star break. And I think I think that Brad probably owes it to them to finish out this season. I don't know what the trade package would be, and I certainly wouldn't just say no to it for all the reasons I didn't say no to it before the season started. And I understand that Durant's one of the best players of all time. I'm just saying it's kind of hard to make that. That's a pretty freaking serious trade to make. I can't even think of a situation where it's happened at the deadline like that.
Yeah.
Harden.
But were they considered the number one,
Oh yeah,
contender?
their positioning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
no,
team that's in that driver's seat to win a title is gonna just completely do a 180 like that.
No, you wouldn't.
Okay.
And you have such a long window with this team.
It's
too,
also
as
waiting. It's
people
probably waiting there for you.
How do you have a
at the end
long
of the
window for real?
season.
If you
I'm
don't-
not saying anything about Windows. I'm just talking about this.
You don't
season.
know that. That's the point. You don't know. You don't
But
know.
Bobby said that.
Listen, you don't know Brown's mind. You know you're going to need to upgrade in the front court, and you don't know how. You have very few assets. You have no homegrown players. You obviously want to lock in stars. And look, a team you can have a great team with two great players, but you can't have a great team with two great players and nothing else. So it's not a guarantee. You've seen other teams that are two superstars only go nowhere. It's not automatic just because you have a core of Brown and Tatum that the team is great for years to come. You have Rob with injury concerns. Eventually, they'll age out in 2 to 3 years with some of their players. And there's nothing coming up the pipeline. So this notion that it's a 10-year, you might have.
But it gets even shorter with Durant.
It gets shorter with Durant, but you might need to start reloading anyway. This idea that it continues on and on and on and on, it might not. But you sign Brown for 4 years, and then they both want out in 3 or 4 because they look around and they're like, we're not a contender anymore. All I'm saying is it's no guarantee just because these guys are young that it stays for 10 plus years. I don't think you can look that far into the future. That, you know what I'm saying?
And this is where I get stuck, and it is a conversation. You got to have this conversation because Durant's so much better than Brown. They'd be so much better with Durant and Tatum than Brown and Tatum.
But then,
that's where I
what are you
was in the
mortgaging?
summer.
Yeah.
But what are you giving up? And how long is Durant out for? These different considerations. And then the other big one at this point, and this is why I want to do it last summer. Does Brooklyn want Brown now? They can't re-sign him. So you're getting him for 1 year if you're Brooklyn? I don't think they can do. I don't think the Celtics can get it done anymore.
Brooklyn makes the trade, and they figure out a way to extend him and give him whatever, give him the max.
You can't.
By the way, this is this isn't like a knock on me. I do not believe Jalen Brown is as good as other people think that he is. I don't. I think there's the gap between KD.
There's no knock on Brown.
I think
saying
it's not a
Durant
knock.
way
I
better
think
than
he's
him.
an excellent scorer, and he's clearly one of the top younger players in the league, and he's clearly inside probably the top 30 overall players. I think it's just highly overblown to think that this is a top 10, 12, 15 player in the NBA. Just simply because he's scoring a little bit more this year. I just think he is what he is, and Kevin Durant, the gap between him and Durant is cavernous. I think it's a really big difference. That's all we're saying here. It's not a total knock on Durant. You're literally talking about Kevin freaking Durant. I just think people discount that. And I was one of them in the
right.
In the
we had this conversation exactly.
We had this. I'm having this conversation with myself.
Right. And it's difficult. It's no one's saying. I mean, I don't know anyone who's saying it's an easy decision. I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but I think, Bobby's right that Durant himself, he's an all-time great player, and he's still playing at the top of his game. I mean, there are guys like that just trying to transcend the norm, right? We just watched Brady do it. We're seeing LeBron do it. Durant is certainly going to be up there with the all-time great NBA basketball players when he retires. That's just obvious. He could retire tomorrow, and that would be the case. And he loves basketball. There's been no reason to believe that he's going to, fall out of love with the game or retire soon. So I don't think you should think of Kevin Durant as your typical 30 X whatever years old he is player. He's certainly got more left in the tank.
What do you think you have to give up, John?
I first of all, I don't think it's going to happen. What?
I want to know, and I'm sure other people want to know why it's just an automatic that Brown would just be traded to the Nets and play out his contract, and that's that.
The only reason that the Celtics have a chance to sign Brown this offseason is because they could supermax him if he gets to All-NBA. If you trade him to Brooklyn, he loses the supermax. So since he signed for less than the max on his rookie extension, he only gets 20% raises on that. Yeah. So it's a very small, it's much less than his market value. So he goes to free agent.
Yeah, and it's not versus going somewhere else. The incentive of staying home isn't the same.
So it guaranteed that he'd go to free agency in 2024 from the Nets. So that really kills the Celtics' chances of acquiring him, even if they want to. So what do you have to throw in? All your future picks, obviously. White, maybe a Grant, maybe a Rob. It gets expensive.
So yeah, that becomes
it does,
hard
and then
sell.
you don't do it. That's the point.
And you're bidding against a bunch of other teams, Phoenix, Toronto.
Then you don't do it. That's
the
point. It's not whether you. Nobody wants to do Brown and every other reasonable player on the team. It's insane. No one's doing Brown, Rob, and a series of picks. It's too much. If you're talking about Brown as the core and you were able to get that with salary filler or at worst a Derek White in a single pick like it was rumored the Celtics offered, you got to have that conversation. When Brooklyn's asking for a zillion future firsts and to absolutely raid the cabinet, of course it's no longer a conversation. You're not left with, you don't have enough left. After that, you're only talking about two centerpieces moving. But if it doesn't happen or it couldn't take that shape, it's not a conversation. So of course you don't do it if they want Rob and three future firsts.
It's like when Rob was mentioned in that report over the summer. That's when everything was like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
no,
that's not stacking names. Literally don't have like, enough. Oh, Smart. They want Smart too.
And then Smart was involved, right?
Yeah.
I'm super interested to see what's gonna happen there because I think Durant should just give it a chance. That team's not bad. And you can be the guy. Imagine if he drives that team to the East Finals. All of a sudden, Durant's one of the most beloved guys again. And everyone's talking about him as a top 5 guy.
It's these comments that kill me. Why are people certain that Brown is... How can you know this?
Clown.
It's clown time. How do you know? What do you know that everyone else doesn't know?
We need a clown
because you really want him to stay and you're holding your blanket tight at night and saying, Jalen, don't go anywhere. You know,
your Juice sweatshirt on.
It's ridiculous, guys. Nobody knows. You assume, but I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows anything, right?
I think
so
if
much
he makes
can change in a year.
If he
you
makes
give Brown the supermax, Bob,
he's staying. Yeah.
You give him that.
Oh, yeah.
You have no choice.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, but it's...
Well, it guarantees you keep him. If you lose Brown, then you lose Tatum and you're done. So you got to keep them both here. And you're very fortunate that he's on this All-NBA pace and you
This
can
is,
offer
again,
that because he'd go to free agency otherwise.
Nobody is saying this. You guys understand what the word uncertainty means, right? It is uncertain. Neither side knows. Stop claiming you know things.
There's better odds he stays than there was in the summer.
There
and
is
that was
if
a
he's
big reason
supermax, but
yeah.
you don't know where his mind is at this point. If Jalen Brown has decided somewhere along the lines that he absolutely wants to be the alpha, he's gone. Nobody knows that.
We know that,
Nobody
right?
knows that. If Jalen Brown is thinking, I can't wait till I hit free agency to go somewhere and be the man, he's gone. But we don't know. You don't know. You think he's going to tell you now? He's going to hint at that? They're championship contenders. He's playing next year out no matter what. He's not signing an extension prior to that. He has to want to be here a year and a half from now versus somewhere else where he can be the guy or do something else. And also based on what is around him at that point. And so maybe he doesn't want to be somewhere where he's going to be the subject of trade rumors for the next friggin' 5 years. Like, nobody knows. That's the point. I don't know why that's hard to lock in for people. You don't know.
But also, even like agents themselves, they're telling their clients or players, sign the deal. We'll figure out a way out after.
We'll figure out. You can get out if you want.
Get your money and sign on the dotted line, and then play out however long you have to play it out, and then you go the trade request route. But you already got your money in the bank at that point. That's the business decision that you would make, and we've seen that many times. And I mean, that's business 101, right? I mean, you take the raise, you try to make it work, or you don't, or whatever, and then you keep that money on a different team. You would, like you said, Bobby, you wouldn't get that money in free agency as opposed to the Supermax. So it does make sense for Brown to resign here if that's the type of money involved. As far as how much longer he would stay in be a part of the roster, who knows? Nobody knows. It's not saying that we don't think it would happen, but that we've seen it happen to other teams.
Brown also he was in Slam magazine recently, talking about the tweet a year ago that the energy's about to shift, blah blah blah.
Energy
blah,
about to shift.
Yeah. It's been almost a full year since then, but Brown admits that he's been tested on different levels physically, emotionally, and mentally lately too, though he won't go into much detail on the latter.
John, did you see that comment? You're the reason why
I put it up.
Superstar athletes
it's exactly that.
Make all their life decisions.
I also love the narrative that the media hates Jalen Brown. Like, oh my God.
We've gone over this.
Smart
gets so much more crap than Brown. It's not even close.
Oh my God.
The media loves everybody.
Jalen Brown has like a 98% approval rating. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's an insult to say Jalen Brown is not as good as one of the top 10 players of all time. That's the worst thing that you can say about him. And that's the disrespect. Like, it's not. It's simply not. Jalen Brown is loved. Like, Jalen Brown is a beloved player, both by fans and media gushes over Jalen Brown. They do.
Yeah. Well, I don't see this happening this week, so
this isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Brooklyn doesn't have an incentive. Short of Durant saying I want out, it's fine. And the Celtics thing isn't going to happen because honestly, they don't have a package that can stack up with some of the other teams who can really empty the shelf right now. Phoenix can give away multiple, starting / star caliber players if they wanted to. Anything short of Booker and they can get it done. Toronto could get it done. A lot of teams could give a lot of stuff and just have better younger assets. The Celtics literally have Jalen Brown, and then you have to completely raid the cupboard to make it happen.
I do think they need to do something this week, though. The more I watch them, the more I watch their depth, some of their offensive stagnant stretches, and then of course the big man depth that you see tonight with Luke out. I think they have some work to do here. And we kicked around the Noel thing earlier. I think that one's so ridiculous. But there are some names out there I like. I still like the Pirtle idea, John. I know that one seems like the ship sailed there, but consolidating the bench and getting this really talented offensive big man who can step right in if either one of your bigs get hurt is intriguing to me, even if it's just a rental. I love Vanderbilt. I love Malik Beasley. I love a lot of names out there that you could potentially go after. I even got talked into, and this was your idea, John, the Olynyk thing.
Yep.
which I don't think is real, but I like the idea of it.
No assets there. I don't
Jimmy,
know.
who do you like?
I don't think it happened.
Nobody. I don't know.
Just play. Who do you like?
It's nothing crazy, but I still like a guy like Crowder. I'm not a huge on let's get a big guy. Let's see the Celtics get a big guy. I'm more on
I
the
kind of do want them to get it big.
secondary.
I just
wing.
asked you a minute ago, and you deferred, Jimmy.
I don't have a name, but I just think they need depth at that position.
Yeah.
That's a buyout thing. So
I
maybe
agree. I
happen.
agree completely. I agree with Josue. I've
maybe
been
that
saying
happens.
all along, buyout guys. There's always a couple, and a lot of times they're big guys.
Buyout guys. I have Kevin Love, Will
Done.
Barton. You like Kevin Love?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he still?
Yeah.
Is he still solid? Sign him up. I mean, listen. I know Kevin
Jimmy
Love
likes
has.
the name at
It's
this
possible.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
why
I
not?
I know. Kevin Love is not the player he was. He's never been a great defender, obviously, but I think he's a high character player. I think he wants to win a championship. I think he can still give you something. And again, this is not a role that is going to be 25 minutes a game. You guys sent me the graphic or the stat about Rob Williams, the team's offensive and defensive efficiency with him in the game. It's unbelievable, but I think there's just such a big drop off at that position right now. When the Celtics, like, if they could get somebody, half as capable of that, I still think they can operate at a somewhat, highly efficient level. It's just no offense to some of the other bigs in the team. I just think that there's not a lot of true bigs available like that can do anything remotely close to what Rob can do. So. Again, do I expect them to be a miracle maker in the buyout market? No, but I think that there's going to be some guy available who can contribute 15 plus minutes a game, 15-ish minutes a game, and the Celtics should be at the top of every buyout player's list, every big man buyout player.
Yeah, which is
And then T. Ross.
good for them.
We haven't had the T. Ross conversation yet.
Well, for a team that's
Stretch the floor.
for a team that's been holding down the number one spot, that's usually what happens, right? They get first.
They get the
first
buyout
pick.
love.
That's
Yeah,
it.
they get the buyout love.
I wish they could get Tice back. How great would that be?
You know what still sucks, though? Even though the Celtics might be leading contenders for a championship, the first buyout teams are going to be the Lakers and the Clippers and the Heat. Like, no matter what. It's always going to be
Well, that sounds
way.
about right. The Lakers can keep stacking up their whole roster's buyout level guys.
It's always a shinier option than the Celtics.
Always.
Who's the
only
PJ
time he
Brown
won
this
it-
year?
Was that KG Pierce?
Jay
group.
Crowder. I think Jay Crowder gets bought out. I don't think anyone's giving anything up for him because teams know the Suns will just buy him right out when the deadline ends. Unless they really
Jay
don't
Crowder
think they
thing
can get
just
him.
doesn't sit well with me. I think the old
Either.
Jay Crowder. I like what his mentality is or was.
I
don't
loved
like it.
him here.
I did too, but I don't like a guy that can just. I don't know how a guy can just.
Jimmy's been a hater since Jay said all that about Gordon that night.
No, I agree with Jimmy. I don't like guys saying.
I mean, not the Gordon thing. The crowd, when the crowd was cheering for Gordon, rather Gordon was still on the Jazz.
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a chip on his shoulder. I was cool with that. I don't like the fact that he's just
I
sitting
thought
out.
you didn't like that.
I don't like the fact that he's just sitting out.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Well,
John
Josue, I
Wall
mean, I don't love
situation.
that. I don't love that. That's like kind of immature or whatever. But he's always played with that chip. I'd say always him against the world. Everyone's out to get him, and he's made it about him again with the Suns team. So you want to bring in a guy that wants to make it all about him? Okay, what if he gets a couple of DNPs in the Celtics? What's he gonna do?
That's what I
Not
mean,
show
Jimmy.
up
I
to
feel like
practice the next day?
That's when
That's
some
a fair
Celtics fans sort of turned on him. They're like, well, wait a minute, this guy's kind of he kind of showed his personality that
sure.
first time.
That's one thing you really got going for you right now, if nothing else, is that great locker room. There's no issues in their locker room at all, which is not something you can say about every team, even the contending teams.
For sure, they seem to have a great on the court, off the court, dynamic going on. They all seem to like each other. Imagine bringing a guy in like that just totally rocked the boat, and again, Jay Crowder. There's obviously the history of him in Boston. He's played with Marcus Smart before, and some of those other guys. And I don't know. I just feel like that ship has kind of sailed. There's got to be guys out there that
like
want
a
to
Jordan
play.
Clarkson type for the
What
chemistry.
about the
Yeah.
What about what's his name? The Mason.
I
the
do
Mason,
believe Crowder's washed, by the way, and I think we got to like buyout is fine. It's certainly not for an option.
Yeah, no, it's
Conley's
not.
Certainly not
fair's
for an
good,
asset.
too.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of assets, what about someone like Mason Plumlee? Is that a real report that they may actually be selling him?
Yeah, they should be. I love his game, but man, those free throws, the shot put free throws, man, I can't get by that.
It's not pretty. It's not good to look at. Pretty to look at, but he's solid. He's exactly would fit the mold of a guy who's a stretch big.
He's rock solid.
Run
He's a double
floor
double.
for you.
A
He's
double,
been
yeah.
He's been a problem this year. I like him.
He's rock solid. Mo Bamba's a guy. I don't like where he's at. He just
we talk
just
about
throw
it?
it down on the
Yeah.
ground.
Get him.
He just threw it down on the floor with the Timberwolves. I'm sure that didn't help his value. Did he get suspended?
4 games.
Not
Rivers
yet.
got 3.
He got 4. Wow.
He's just,
Wow.
He got
he's
4.
just- well, Mo Bamba can feel much
Rivers
better
is-
about still being in Orlando. on the
Everyone
deadline.
hates
High school.
Austin Rivers. Is he the most hated guy?
He hit a nerve with that high school line, man. That's what it
Seems
was.
like it.
That's what it was.
Real quick,
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap the show in a minute. I do got to sneak this in. I just want to tell people again. Quick sponsor alert: Athletic Greens. We can't go a show without mentioning these guys. Jimmy has it already stacked up, ready to go for tomorrow. For those of you out there, and again, we're talking about health. We're talking about making the right choices as the new year starts, and you're kind of like, you want to get into your little summer bod, so to speak. Athletic Greens gets you started. 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and what, Jimmy?
Adaptogens,
Adaptogens.
prebiotics,
Yep.
gut health.
Tell him.
Scoop, cup of water, take it down. That's it. Takes care of all your health needs. Sleep,
Stack it.
focus, recovery, your immune system, gut health. Like I said, the thing that you're probably chasing 75 different pills and vitamins all over the place, trying to kind of lock it in. AG1 does it all in one place. Go to athleticgreens.com, free 1-year supply, vitamin D, and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And as always, a phenomenal t-shirt. That's what you get.
Phenomenal.
Going back to the trade deadline, guys. Obviously, that's going to be fun. We have a game on Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe that is accurate.
Wednesday night.
By the way, real quick,
Sixers Wednesday. Yeah.
real quick, KD update. He was at the game tonight.
Yep.
Declined to comment, leaving the arena.
But also, it was Nick Friedel who said that, and nobody talks to him. No, he was Kyrie's best buddy.
Yeah.
He was Kyrie's best buddy. I think it's just everyone's mad at him
Sarcastically.
because he
yeah.
because he presses. He pressed him. It is interesting, but I also wouldn't expect him to have a comment in that context.
Yeah.
Right.
Being chased out of the arena. I don't think that he's gonna, give it up.
Unless
at that
it's
point.
me. He did give me a comment leaving the arena once.
Yeah. He said, "Who
Sure,
are you?"
Should have sent you on. Get out of my way,
Yeah,
kid.
he talked about my accent, remember?
That's right. You got a
He saw the
thick
CLNS
Boston accent, huh?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
That's why we send Bobby to get the big stories like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
We haven't seen this name in a while. Oop. Hold on.
Yep. Oop.
Is this guy intrigued you,
Mo
John?
Brown.
Like I said, I
Still can't believe they gave him up, man.
so I referenced him because the Kyrie was my fastest L. The Nets are fine was my fastest L since Mo Brown.
Yeah. That's so true.
It was my
Man.
quickest L. I was like, oh no, yeah,
Wait,
no.
what was the Mo Brown? You were mad because he was in that trade?
Yeah,
The
I was
Al
like,
trade?
why would you give up this guy? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
We were all.
I
we
was
all
like,
kind of
I've
felt
never.
that way.
That's as instantly wrong as I've been. The Kyrie one was just like was way faster. The Kyrie wasn't even a Scaramucci. Like Kyrie was like friggin' 2 days. I was dead wrong on that. 48 hours,
My head was
completely
spinning.
gone.
If I wasn't away, I would have jumped on the show and just bashed you for 20 minutes.
I preemptively fell on the grenade just to avoid you doing that.
I would have had it queued up, ready to go. Oh man, that would have been so good.
I don't know, guys. What do you got?
Rob's good. Hope
Did Rob
Rob's
get hurt
good.
late?
Now I'm stumbling a little bit on the baseline, slow to get back in, so we'll see what happens there. But otherwise, great game from him. I just love how he keeps stacking these up, as I said. Of course, you're thrilled with what Tatum did in the second half to just get out of there with the win, no matter how you want to nitpick it. And then, of course, Derek White, good. Up and down the line, you got some contributions tonight, even
Let
though I
me
didn't
ask
love
you
it. And
this.
Sam Hauser saved his rotation spot. You can guarantee he'll get some
What
minutes
was
after
different
this.
other than shots falling? Did he
He
look
hit
more
some
confident?
Yeah, he looked confident. He hit some tough shots, some bad passes. He got off really quick and drained them. Good spacing, positioning across the floor. He looked good with the starters. Obviously, there's no way to squeeze him in with the starters when you're healthy, but it does make you think of maybe some rotation choices with him and combining him with different guys who can get him better looks and doing all this other little stuff, which is something Joe Mazzulla talked about at practice last week. Rebounding, this 1 assist and a couple blocks, that goes a long way when you're not shooting well to make you still have a good game.
This is my favorite comment of the night right here.
What do you got?
It's really exciting to see
I
him get
saw it.
going
I knew you were
again
putting
tonight.
that one up. Sorry. You can put it back up. That was an accident.
He stayed in front of his
Double
guy,
tap. Double
Xantis,
tap.
He wasn't
Xantis
getting
hates
cooked
the
out there.
Celtics.
Yeah, I love
Xantis.
this defense show play. This
Praying
guy,
Xantis.
That's what killed him before. Bobby.
Hating
Just
Xantis.
getting burned out there against the Hornets, and then there was a time after that where he's been seeing the bench ever since.
this is why
We have a guy named Denzel Washington.
It's that.
Denzel Valentine.
Yeah, Denzel Valentine. Yeah.
Valentine, not Washington.
Because I would
Denzel,
love
though.
to. I would love to see this.
Strong side, left side.
They also got Tony Snell. Did you see that?
Is this fun to you?
Maine has Tony Snell.
Yeah.
Zero. Fun,
What?
sir.
Zero fun, sir.
You might have to go up and see them, Jimmy. They got Denzel Valentine, or Denzel Washington, and Kevin Jelly. And
Kevin Jelly.
Star-studded lineup.
And
up here.
Tony
Bobby, when are we
Snell.
going up to Maine? We gotta go up to Maine soon.
You know I love going up to Maine anytime. I want to do a Garden Report up there. Let's get it going, guys.
We should pick a
Sounds
pick
good.
the
up
right
the,
weekend.
hit
for
up
it.
I'm
there.
in. Just
up their
I'll
media
text you when I'm
relations
there.
We can go skiing.
No, we're just gonna
after.
show up and pick up John. Just get it.
Listen, I'll pull
Josue
Jimmy in
is
by
fading.
I'll pull Jimmy in by planning some skiing after, and we'll
There you go.
figure out a restaurant John likes up there that draws
Jimmy
him up.
boards. John
Yeah.
skis.
I do board. Or we can go up. We can go ice skating up there like I did over the weekend.
I love ice skating. I'm
Little-
so
little-
mad. We had those couple freezing days. I was texting you guys. I was like, "Is there any chance the pond freeze?" And all of a sudden, it's gonna be like 50 for the next
Dude,
week.
there's
You need
hope.
a longer stretch of really frozen to get like
Well-
a good 4 or 5. To get like a good 4 or 5 inches of ice.
It's such
So
a joke. You get one day now if you're lucky around here.
We got a few pond days last year. It was good.
It was
Oh,
frozen
great, a
on.
few.
It was frozen on Sunday, but a bunch of people. We're talking about the frog pond in Boston, not the frog
Yeah.
pond, the public garden pond.
Yeah.
It was frozen yesterday, and a bunch of people were walking on it today. I saw on like Instagram, I think maybe it was one of the accounts. There's a video of a bunch of people walking on it and just falling through. It's only like a foot and a half
You're not
deep,
gonna drown.
but for whatever reason, people just said they could walk on it, and everybody's falling through. And once you fall into it, every time you try to get out, you just continue to break it. So these people just like they're like 100 feet in this, and they can't do anything but just walk out knee deep in water, and it was actually pretty awesome and hilarious. But yeah, you got to be careful. You need to give it a couple days or a few days of like some serious below zero weather.
Yep. Yeah. To get that thick layer to feel good
Right.
about it.
It's not happening this year, I guess.
Might not.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah. All right. So we're back Wednesday. Then Thursday, we're going to do a trade deadline show between 2 and 3. Or if there's any breaking news at any time of day, we are going to hop on here immediately and get after it and talk about it. And even if it's a minor trade, the Celtics do anything, we're going to hop in here. We're going to analyze it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to listen to what you guys have to say. And that should be a ton of fun.
I have a trade piece out now on CLNSmedia.com. Lots of options.
He does indeed. He does indeed. What's up, Jimmy?
Don't know if I'll be on the trade deadline show. I'm gonna be in Park City, Utah, for some
Nice.
snowboarding. So I
Oh,
might,
that's what's
you know,
up.
anything major,
Okay,
I'll
cool.
try to do everything I can to poke my head on some way or shape or form.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put Bobby's cell phone here in the chat. You guys, if
Perfect.
it's like at 3 a.m., you guys just ping Bobby, and we'll jump on here. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that
All right.
idea.
Cool. That's it, guys. Sorry I crashed your party.
That's okay. We needed you. We needed.
All right.
Hey, big game on
Perfect.
Wednesday.
We needed a
huge
hater.
game.
We needed a hater to come on.
Oh, it's all for show.
Trade the team.
It's all
Trade
for
the team
show.
away. Yeah.
Wednesday,
you guys,
Sixers.
You guys fall for
Celtics.
it every time.
I'm not expecting fireworks on the Celtics end.
No way.
This week. So.
No, not this time.
And honestly, I don't think they need to. It's a good position to be in. To be honest, you don't want to have to.
I know,
make
but isn't it
crazy
fun?
moves. Yeah, it's always fun to talk about, but it's also always disappointing by the end of the deadline. The deadline
But
is,
they don't
is
need any.
always
That's the thing is, when you're the best team in the league, like at least record-wise at this point, you really don't. There's just no desperation there, especially if you know you kind of got that buyout option. Like, it's like I don't think there'll be mad people who are mad, but
No.
I also think we have no idea what Brad thinks when
They
he looks
have
at
a
this
little
team.
work to do, John. It's not a
They
lot.
do,
they have
but
a
we have
little.
no. Brad might think they have a little work to do. He might think they have a lot, so he could be trying to get aggressive, or he's literally just looking for what can I get for Pritchard in a second, and that's it. Like I think the Celtics are more likely than not operating on. I'm only willing to give this much, and that's it. And so, what can I get?
I
for
don't
this?
think they're
And
trading
they're-
any rotation guys.
and they're
no matter what.
fishing. I don't think they're trading rotation guys. I don't even think they're looking for those. It's fishing with whatever it is that they're willing to give up to improve in either any of the areas of need. That's it.
Maybe there'll be a third team taking on
Yeah.
something.
But yeah, who can I pry away? Are you done with this guy? You don't want to pay this guy anymore. He's off next year. You want to take a shot, roll the dice with Pritchard, and and one of our seconds. That's it. If I need to throw in Gallo to make the money work, that's it. I feel like those are the things they're dangling. A second round picks, Pritchard, Gallo, and that's it. Nothing beyond that goes.
You trading Gallinari?
Again, for the right player, of course you are.
Yeah. You got to see what's out there. I agree with that.
I'm saying those are the things that you're playing with. They're
Right.
not giving a rotation player. I guess Grant would be the next possible thing to go, only because of he sucks. No, only because of the contract uncertainty. He's obviously not helping himself right now. But
What about
I
the
don't see
idea
it.
of can Gallinari theoretically give you 15 minutes a game in the playoffs, or is that still a pipe dream?
who knows?
I
Man.
think so.
He's
So,
working his ass
so
off.
like what's
Give
a
him
better
credit.
so like what's a better option than that? I mean, the guy wants to play. He's at the tail end of his career anyways.
Your typical.
What's he care?
Your typical. I can't see him being useful.
But
He's
John,
moving
the
at
point
practice.
is, the point is,
He's not
really,
really.
they're not going to
He
give
is.
up enough for anybody useful at the deadline.
They're not. But I'm
So-
saying is that you're mining at this point. You've got some teams that might be looking for a lot of things. They're trying to either clear space or they literally just want to get worse. And they'll do anything possible to get worse. So that's out there. Yeah, I'll trade you a useful guy that I have to play and could possibly win some games because I want to tank for this.
We lose you for a second. No,
You'll have a few teams doing that, and they might be willing to just – if you're willing to pay, it's kind of the same thing last year. I think if they're willing to pay a little more, they can find something
That's
useful
always the case.
for a
Yeah.
little. Because there are teams that
They were in a
just-
much more desperate situation last year, though, and I love Brad's aggression.
Right.
One thing you know about Brad, and I think this is one thing you can guarantee from him, is that they'll just keep improving annually using those picks. That's what they've done with Horford, White, Brogdon, and you're in a tougher position this year because you already traded that Brogdon pick.
Yeah.
So it's tough to stack up picks into the future to go get guys. It's tough to stack up salaries, and I don't think they're going to mess with the rotation they have right now. So it's shaking up to be quiet. I think there's some names out there that are attainable with the bottom end of the team, and I think there's a good case to consolidate the bottom end of the team. But if you can't do it, you can't do it, and you just got to make do with what you have here and buyout possibilities, which don't usually help you much, but who knows? You'll be one of those top destinations this time around, which is great.
Yep. Subscribe here for all of our stuff. Celtics CLNS, the Celtics All Access channel, youtube.com/@CelticsCLNS. That's where we're at. You can find us. Just Google it if you want. Celtics All Access. Find all of our Celtics stuff on there. Obviously we're there when we go live. Good source for a lot of different Celtics material, Celtics podcasts. It's over. It's over, guys. Let's call it. We're back on Wednesday. Thursday trade deadline special. We might have more news. And again, like I said, anytime between now and Thursday at 3 p.m., should there be any sort of major trade involving the Celtics or one that really shakes up the kind of competitive balance of the NBA or Eastern Conference, we might jump on here and talk about it. Until
check your
then,
notifications. That's right.
Check your note. That's why you got to subscribe to get notified. This and our Celtics main channel. Turn on your notifications, and you will know when we are going to go live. And that's all we got, guys. Thank you very much for hanging in with us. Thank you to Jimmy, Josue, and Bobby for carrying the load in the early part of the show while I was being delinquent. Yeah.
No, you had a legit excuse.
Teaching.
Legit excuse.
You're excused.
I am
Poisoning
excused.
our
Sherrod
youth
too.
Brain.
Both Sherrod.
Sherrod teaching too. A lot of people don't know. We got a couple professors.
Sherrod's like a real professor. I'm a fraud. But Sherrod has classes on Monday. Yeah.
I won't send that to.
Imagine one of the younger viewers on here showing up to college day one, and they look at their class list and they see Jay Zannis under the professor list.
You've had a couple of viewers in your class, right, John?
I actually had last spring. I had 3 or 4 kids who signed up because of this show. Believe it or not, they were I love it, which was actually pretty funny.
And then they hated you by the end of it, and they probably don't watch.
Oh yeah. Don't check rateyourprofessor.com.
Yeah.
You don't want to meet your heroes, kid.
Like, oh, he's not much. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap it. Thanks again, guys. See you on Wednesday. Or as we said, should there be breaking news prior to then, we will jump on there. Thank you for the live, active / angry chat. We do
one of the angry chats in a while.
Yeah, the YouTube comments are going to be mean tomorrow.
It's been a minute.
I blame me.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's fair.
It was good. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.